Life begins with a breath and ends in silence. Between these 2 points lies everything we know, everything we are. Our hearts beat, our minds think, our bodies grow, and then they wither away. But what if this cycle, this dance between life and death, could be disrupted? What if the silence of the grave could be stilled, not by force, but by understanding, by science, by choice? For millennia, humans have wondered, is death the final end, or is it simply the closing chapter of a larger story? From the ancient elixirs of life in the myths of Mesopotamia, to the search for the fountain of youth by explorers of the New World, the idea of immortality has haunted us. It's a question as old as humanity itself, a question of how far we might go to escape the inevitable, to stretch the fragile thread of life into infinity. Today, we step into the realm of science, philosophy, and speculation, into a place where the boundaries of biology, technology, and the very essence of time blur. Could we, as a species, rewrite the script of existence? Could we live eternally, not as mere echoes of our former selves, but as something more, something beyond the fleeting nature of flesh and bone? And if immortality could be achieved, what would it mean for us? For our relationships, our legacies, our very understanding of what it means to live. Join us as we explore the untold possibilities of life that never ends. From the microscopic secrets of ourselves to the outer reaches of the universe, we are about to unlock the mysteries of immortality, where life, death, and time converge, and where the limits of human understanding are tested like never before. Aging is not simply a countdown. It is a battle fought at the most fundamental level of life, within the very cells that make up our bodies. With each passing day, our cells wage an invisible war against time, and eventually time wins. But what is it that causes us to age? Why does the body's once efficient machinery begin to falter as the years pass? At the center of this struggle lies the cell's biological clock, telomeres, tiny but mighty protectors of our chromosomes. Telomeres are the caps at the ends of our DNA strands, often compared to the plastic tips of shoelaces. With each cell division, these telomeres shorten, gradually diminishing the cell's ability to replicate. Eventually, they vanish completely, and the cell, once capable of regenerating tissues, of healing wounds, of maintaining youthful vitality, loses its ability to divide. This is what we call cellular senescence, the beginning of the aging process. But telomeres are only one part of the puzzle. Even before they reach their critical shortening point, our bodies are under constant attack from the very forces that fuel life itself: oxygen, free radicals, unstable molecules generated by the process of cellular respiration, are like saboteurs in our biological system. They attack the cell's DNA, proteins, and lipids, leaving behind a trail of oxidative damage that accumulates over time. It's this oxidative stress that is widely believed to contribute to many age-related diseases, including cancer, cardiovascular disease, and neurodegenerative conditions like Alzheimer's. The frontiers of anti-aging research are advancing at an unprecedented pace, where today's discoveries seem like the seeds of a radical rethinking of what it means to age. In labs around the world, scientists are making breakthroughs that might not only slow down aging, but, for the first time, reverse it. At the heart of these advancements is CRISPR, the gene editing tool that has opened new doors in the fight against aging. With CRISPR, scientists can directly target the very DNA responsible for aging and age-related diseases. For instance, researchers are investigating how CRISPR could fix mutations in our mitochondrial DNA, the powerhouses of our cells, that accumulate over time and contribute to cellular dysfunction and aging. By repairing these genetic defects, could we rejuvenate aging cells and extend the lifespan of our tissues? Another major breakthrough lies in the development of senolytic drugs, which target and destroy senescent or zombie cells. These cells are stuck in a state of halted division but refuse to die, accumulating over time and contributing to chronic inflammation, tissue dysfunction, and diseases like Alzheimer's, osteoarthritis, and cardiovascular conditions. Research in animal models has shown that clearing these damaged cells can reverse signs of aging, improve tissue function, and even extend the lifespan of animals. Imagine a world where degenerative diseases no longer hold the power to shorten lives or debilitate our bodies. But the potential of anti-aging therapies doesn't stop there. The concept of caloric restriction, known to extend lifespan in many species, is being explored as a method to slow aging without the need for extreme fasting. Scientists have developed caloric restriction mimetics, compounds that can mimic the biological effects of caloric restriction without having to deprive the body of nutrients. These compounds work by activating longevity genes, improving metabolic efficiency, and promoting cellular repair processes. Some of these compounds have shown promising results in animals, where they've extended lifespans by as much as 30%. And if similar results can be achieved in humans, the implications are staggering. Could we potentially add decades, or even centuries, to human life? This area of research has taken a giant leap forward with compounds like NAD+ precursors, molecules that help boost the levels of NAD+, a critical coenzyme involved in energy production and cellular repair. As we age, our NAD+ levels naturally decline, leading to reduced mitochondrial function and increased susceptibility to aging-related diseases. By supplementing NAD+ levels, researchers are seeing improvements in cellular health, energy metabolism, and even cognitive function. Could this be the key to not just extending life, but revitalizing our energy and vigor as we age? What's more exciting is the possibility that we could one day harness the power of stem cells to not only treat age-related diseases, but to rejuvenate entire tissues and organs. Stem cells have the remarkable ability to become any type of cell in the body, offering a potential solution for repairing or replacing tissues that have aged or been damaged over time. Researchers are already investigating ways to use stem cells to regenerate cartilage, muscle, and even the heart. If successful, we could see a future where organ failure and age-related deterioration are things of the past. And let's not overlook the power of telomerase, the enzyme responsible for maintaining the length of telomeres, the protective caps at the ends of chromosomes. Telomere shortening is a key factor in cellular aging, and some scientists are investigating ways to activate or enhance telomerase activity in our cells. In laboratory studies, activating telomerase has been shown to extend the lifespan of cells and even restore some of the youthful functions lost with age. Could we one day prevent, or even reverse, the cellular aging process by reactivating the mechanisms that protect our DNA? As we explore these incredible breakthroughs, we begin to see a clear picture emerging, a world where aging is no longer inevitable. Each of these innovations, whether through gene editing, cellular repair, or longevity-promoting compounds, represents a step closer to the dream of extending life, and perhaps even erasing the diseases that have plagued humanity for millennia. But the most profound question remains: if we can live longer, should we? And what does it mean for our society if we unlock the secrets to eternal youth? These breakthroughs bring us closer than ever to a future where aging could be nothing more than a relic of the past. Yet, with this promise comes profound questions about the future of humanity. Could life expectancy extend to 200 years, or even longer? And if it does, how will we adapt socially, politically, and economically to a world where aging is no longer the inevitable endpoint of life? The dream of immortality doesn't have to be tethered to our physical bodies. In the age of technology, the boundaries between the human mind and machines are blurring, giving rise to a radical new concept: digital immortality. What if, instead of succumbing to the inevitable decline of our physical form, we could upload our consciousness, our thoughts, memories, and experiences into the digital realm? This vision transcends the limitations of flesh and bone, offering the possibility to live forever as pure data in a virtual world where time and decay no longer have power over us. In this future, your consciousness wouldn't be bound by the constraints of your body. Instead of aging, you'd exist as an avatar, a digital representation of yourself, free to explore endless worlds. The idea of whole brain emulation, or mind uploading, is already being researched by neuroscientists and technologists. It's a process that involves mapping every neuron and synapse in the human brain, translating this intricate biological system into a digital format, and recreating it in a computer system. Imagine a world where you could not only preserve your memories and thoughts, but experience them in new, infinite ways. In a digital landscape, you could explore virtual environments that adapt to your desires, learn new skills at the speed of thought, and meet other uploaded minds, each existing in their own version of reality. No longer limited by physical constraints, you could live out timeless adventures, from soaring through the cosmos to delving into deep, mysterious corners of the human psyche. The process of uploading consciousness is still far from reality, but progress is being made. In the world of neuroscience, researchers are mapping the brain with incredible precision, utilizing advanced imaging techniques to study the neural networks that govern thought, memory, and emotions. Their goal is to decode the brain's complex architecture, recreating it in a virtual realm where the mind can exist independent of the body. Once uploaded, your consciousness could experience immortality in a sense, as digital data that never deteriorates or decays. You would be free from the limitations of time, able to live in a perfect simulation of reality, or perhaps even a new one that you create. Time itself could lose its meaning in this new form of existence. Instead of the linear progression we know, your digital self could exist in an endless, non-linear stream of experiences, free from the constraints of aging or death. But beyond the technological marvel, there are philosophical and ethical questions to consider. Would we remain ourselves after such a transformation? Could the essence of who we are, the core of our thoughts, our memories, our self, be preserved in digital form, or would it simply be a replica, a copy that could never truly capture the nuance of our humanity? And then there's the question of consciousness. Does a digital version of ourselves truly experience life, or would it merely simulate our consciousness? If we live forever as data, is it truly immortality, or merely the illusion of it? As we continue to push the boundaries of science and technology, we must grapple with these questions. Could our consciousness ever truly be digitized? And if it could, what would it mean for our relationships, our sense of self, and our place in the universe? Perhaps the dream of digital immortality is not just a question of overcoming death, but of redefining what it means to be human. Could this new existence offer us a way to experience life as we never have before? Free from suffering, free from the limits of biology? Or would the very nature of our experience change, altering our understanding of identity and connection? Immortality is not just a victory over death. It forces us to confront the very nature of existence itself. What does it mean to live without an end? In the face of eternity, would life still be meaningful, or would the perpetual flow of time strip every moment of its significance? When there's no finality, does the urgency that propels us to live, to love, and to create lose its power? Death, in many ways, is the great equalizer, the thing that makes each moment precious. It's the knowledge that our time is finite that pushes us to chase our dreams, to form connections, and to leave behind something meaningful. But in a world without death, would those dreams lose their spark? Would the very act of living become a monotonous loop, devoid of urgency, devoid of purpose? Consider love. In an immortal existence, what happens to the bonds we form with others? The passions, the fleeting connections we experience as humans, are bound by time. The shared understanding that one day we will be separated, that one day our loved ones will be lost to us, makes our connections all the more profound. But what happens when time is no longer a factor? Will love evolve, become more profound, or will it slowly fade, as all things do in the face of endless repetition? As we live forever, we might find that our relationships with others lose their vibrancy. the intensity of first love, the emotional highs of shared experiences. These moments are precious because they are finite. When eternity looms, could we lose our connection to those moments? Would love, friendship, and kinship simply become repeating cycles, endlessly predictable and ultimately hollow? Eternal life might offer us the chance to experience everything, to live countless lifetimes, to gather knowledge, to explore every possible reality. But would the joy of discovery be dulled by the knowledge that it never ends? Would we begin to seek out challenges, risks, and dangers just to feel something? Would we push the boundaries of existence itself in an attempt to break free from the monotony of an immortal life? And what of the art we create? Our creative expressions, whether through music, painting, or storytelling, are often born from our human limitations, the constraints of time, memory, and mortality. Would eternal life stifle the very impulse to create? Without the looming shadow of death, would art lose its poignancy, its sense of urgency? Could we still find meaning in the act of creation if we were not limited by time, if there were no deadline looming over us? It is easy to imagine that immortality would grant us endless time to perfect our skills, to learn everything, to achieve everything. But what if this infinite time left us unable to experience the excitement of achievement? What if the joy of overcoming challenges, the thrill of racing against time, became nothing more than a distant memory, replaced by an endless series of familiar, unchanging moments? The ultimate question is this: if immortality were granted to us, would we still be able to live authentically? Would we still care about the small things, the fleeting moments, the connections, the passion of living, if we knew we had all the time in the world? Or would we become like machines, running the same loop forever, unable to feel the weight of time or the urgency of life? Perhaps immortality doesn't just challenge us to live forever. It forces us to confront the very essence of what it means to be human. It's not only the end of death that makes life meaningful. It's the recognition of that end, the awareness of our fragility, that shapes our experiences. Immortality, for all its promises, may strip away what makes us human: our vulnerability, our impermanence, our drive to live fully in the face of the unknown. While the dream of immortality seems to promise a utopian future, it brings with it a host of ethical, social, and political dilemmas. What if immortality is not accessible to everyone? What if only the wealthy or powerful have access to life extension technologies, creating an entirely new kind of inequality? A divide not just based on wealth, but on life itself. In a world where only a few can afford immortality, we risk creating a society where the gap between the rich and the poor becomes even more pronounced. The wealthy could hold the key to eternal life, extending their power, influence, and control over the planet, while the rest of humanity faces the same struggles of aging, disease, and death. Imagine a society where immortality becomes the ultimate privilege, reserved only for those who can afford it, while the poor remain locked in an endless cycle of suffering. This new form of inequality, based on life itself, would transform our world in unimaginable ways. The wealthy could accumulate wealth, knowledge, and power over centuries, solidifying their status as an immortal elite, while the marginalized face the existential reality of being left behind, unable to break free from the chains of mortality. Would we see the creation of new social classes, one that is defined by time itself? Or would we find ourselves trapped in an age-old struggle for power, now measured in lifetimes? But the implications of immortality don't stop at inequality. They stretch deep into the fabric of our planet itself. With humanity's numbers ever growing and the pressure on Earth's resources increasing, what happens when death is no longer a natural check on population? How will society cope with overpopulation if people no longer die of age or disease? Would we impose limits on reproduction to curb population growth? Or would we be forced to look beyond Earth, expanding to other planets, establishing colonies in space, where we could continue to exist indefinitely? Imagine a world where every person can live as long as they wish, but the planet is stretched to its breaking point. The ecosystem, already fragile, would be under immense pressure, unable to sustain the demands of an immortal population. With climate change, resource depletion, and environmental degradation already plaguing the Earth, could immortality be the tipping point that forces us to confront our collective responsibility toward the planet? We might turn to space as our salvation, colonizing other planets to house our immortal population. But is that the answer? Is the pursuit of immortality really a quest for preservation, or is it just another form of escape? An attempt to avoid the inevitable consequences of our actions on Earth? What kind of future would we build on new planets? Could we repeat the same mistakes we made here? Or would immortality give us the wisdom to build a better society? But the implications of immortality don't stop at inequality. They stretch deep into the fabric of our planet itself. With humanity's numbers ever growing and the pressure on Earth's resources increasing, what happens when death is no longer a natural check on population? How will society cope with overpopulation if people no longer die of age or disease? Would we impose limits on reproduction to curb population growth? Or would we be forced to look beyond Earth, expanding to other planets, establishing colonies in space, where we could continue to exist indefinitely? We might turn to space as our salvation, colonizing other planets to house our immortal population. But is that the answer? Is the pursuit of immortality really a quest for preservation, or is it just another form of escape? An attempt to avoid the inevitable consequences of our actions on Earth? What kind of future would we build on new planets? Could we repeat the same mistakes we made here? Or would immortality give us the wisdom to build a better society? Ethically, immortality brings us face to face with the question of who deserves to live forever. Should it be a right available to all? Or should it be a privilege granted to a select few? If immortality is restricted to the elite, who gets to decide who is worthy? And could this new immortality create a world where the rich can control not just wealth, but the very nature of existence? Moreover, if we live forever, how does it affect the way we see human relationships? If there is no end to our lives, how would we treat those who are not immortal? Our children, our friends, our families? Could we grow detached from our loved ones, knowing that we would never truly say goodbye? Would immortality become a burden that isolates us from the human experiences we once cherished? These questions are not just theoretical. They are the moral challenges we must confront as we approach the possibility of immortality. If we can extend life indefinitely, do we lose something precious in the process? The very fragility that makes life meaningful? Is it worth the price of living forever? And if only a few are granted that privilege, can we truly call it a utopian future? Or will immortality create a new kind of dystopia? As we stand at the edge of possibility, where immortality might one day be achievable, we must ask ourselves a question deeper than can we live forever? The question we must confront is, should we? For in the delicate balance between life and death lies the essence of what it means to be human. The truth is, it's the knowledge that our time is limited that makes every moment worth living. It is in the passing of time that we find purpose. The finite nature of our lives, with all its uncertainties and impermanence, compels us to create, to connect, and to leave something behind that is meaningful. If time stretched on forever, would we appreciate the beauty in a single sunset, the warmth in a hug, or the fleeting joy of a shared laugh? Would we take these moments for granted, knowing that there would always be more time? What makes life precious is not the accumulation of years, but the experiences we create in those years. Our relationships, the bonds we form, the love we give and receive, are what shape us. The fleetingness of life means we must treasure these connections, as they are the true legacy we leave behind. In a world where time was infinite, would we still cherish the people around us with the same intensity, knowing that we could never lose them? Ultimately, it's not the number of years we live, but the quality of those years that matters. The moments we savor, the laughter shared over a meal, the quiet moments of reflection in nature, the memories that live in our hearts long after they've passed, are what define the richness of life. Visuals. A person sitting alone in contemplation, watching the sunrise, smiling gently as they reflect on the life they've lived. The image fades to a soft, golden hue, evoking a sense of peaceful acceptance. If immortality comes to us in the future, it will be an extraordinary achievement, no doubt. But it's worth remembering. Life's fragility is what makes it beautiful. The clock may tick relentlessly onward, but it's in those moments of fleeting time that we find meaning, depth, and purpose. After all, it is not in eternity that we find our purpose, but in the brief, precious time we have. So as we look to a future filled with questions about immortality and the potential to transcend death, let's not forget what makes life worth living. It is the very impermanence of it that gives our existence meaning. The moments we embrace, the connections we make, and the legacies we leave behind. These are what truly define us. Now let's venture into the unknown, into the realm of the mind-bending and the impossible. What if everything we know, the stars, galaxies, and even the laws of physics we rely on, exists within the confines of a black hole? What if our universe, our cosmos, is just one of many, nestled inside the singularity of a black hole in another universe? This isn't just science fiction. It's a bold theory rooted in some of the most complex ideas in physics. According to Einstein's theory of general relativity, black holes are regions of space where gravity is so intense that not even light can escape. They represent the most extreme warping of space-time, where the fabric of reality itself bends and folds. But here's where it gets truly mind-boggling. When you cross the event horizon, the boundary beyond which nothing can escape, a peculiar thing happens. Time itself behaves differently inside a black hole. While time moves forward for an observer outside the event horizon, inside, time could stretch or bend in ways we can't yet comprehend. The laws of physics break down, and the very nature of reality shifts. Now, imagine if this distortion didn't just apply to time. What if the very space we occupy is also warped within the gravitational pull of a black hole? Could it be that the universe we inhabit is merely a part of something far larger, an infinitely expansive multiverse, each universe contained within the event horizon of its own black hole? Think about it. If black holes can exist in other universes, then it's possible that the singularity at the center of our own black hole is not an end, but a beginning. In this scenario, the Big Bang that gave birth to our universe could have actually been the result of a black hole in another universe collapsing and creating an entirely new cosmos, a cosmic birth from the death of another universe. But that's not the end of this theory. It's only the beginning. If our universe is inside a black hole, then might there be an infinite number of such universes, each one contained within the singularity of a different black hole in another universe? Could this suggest that the multiverse is not just a theoretical concept but a tangible reality? One where each black hole is a gateway to a new universe, born from the collapse of an older one. It's a theory that stretches the limits of imagination and challenges everything we know about the structure of reality. But even if we may never have the technology or the ability to observe these far-off realms, the idea that we could be living inside a black hole raises profound questions about the nature of existence. What is the true scale of the cosmos? Are we just one bubble in an infinite ocean of universes? And so we find ourselves caught in the paradox. We are living inside a cosmic mystery, one that may have no answer. Our understanding of space-time and black holes continues to evolve, but the questions remain, teasing our minds with the possibility that the universe we see may not be the end of the story, but merely the beginning of something far greater. What if the future of immortality isn't what we expect? What if it's something darker, something that changes everything we know about what it means to live? What if our universe, the very cosmos we call home, is not what we think at all, but instead a fragment of something far more complex? A universe born within the black hole of another reality. These questions are just the beginning of a mystery that might never be fully solved. We don't have the answers. Perhaps no one does. But the journey to uncover the truth is just beginning. Could immortality strip away the very essence of our humanity? Could our reality be a simulation within the folds of a black hole? Are we truly alone, or are we a small part of something far greater, lost in the vastness of a multiverse we can barely begin to understand? The answers are out there, hidden within the depths of the cosmos, the fabric of time, and the secrets of existence itself. Will we find them, or will they remain locked in a mystery we can only dream of solving? What do you think? Could immortality be the key to unlocking something we can't even imagine? Is the universe just a fragment of something much larger? Share your thoughts in the comments, and if you dare, subscribe. Let's continue this journey into the unknown together.